Hello writers, come write with me. My name is Mykela Greenwood. I create worlds for mind adventures. Welcome to my channel, Write with Mykela. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit the bell so you can go on this journey with me. Today we're going to have a writing prompt. We're also going to talk about two terms first, and we are adding to your cave. So I hope you know where that is and you can bring that out. This will be part 10 for our cave stories. However, let's talk about the few terms first. The terms I want to look at are conflate or conflation and converge. Okay, to conflate means to combine two or more separate things, especially pieces of text to form a whole. Conflation is the merging of two or more sets of information, text, ideas, or opinions into one, often in error. In the colloquial sense, it means as being equal to, or to treat two things similar, but two similar but disparate concepts as the same. So some synonyms here. This helps us round out our definition or our understanding. Some synonyms are blend, coalesce, combine, commingle, flux, fuse, immix, meld, merge, or mix. The colloquial version would be to confuse or mix up, lump together. Some antonyms are separate, unmix, break down, break up. Now, people often use conflate in a negative sense. So, meaning to confuse, or you're combining two ideas in a misleading way, kind of thing. So, let's look at where this will help us in our writings. And we're going to look more at the colloquial version. When somebody combines ideas that no one should combine, and that person misleads people by using logic with a fallacy, or by conflating things, is not a good thing. In my Mykela series, the Black Witch, this is the one that's on the website with the characters. I haven't read it to you yet, but the Black Witches use sacrifices to aid their magic. And if someone tries to stop them or takes away the sacrifices, then the Black Witches conflate taking away the sacrifice with burning crops. Like, if you burn my crops, I'm going to think that you are attacking me and that's against me and my people. So I would say that's an act of war. So the witches are saying, the Black Witches are saying, that's the same. Taking away my sacrifice is the same as me taking away your crops. So they conflate the two things. Much later in the series, a dragon tells Mykela that crops bring nourishment to the person or the people. The dragon leaves it there. But basically, no one in the story should conflate burning crops for kingdom with taking away sacrifice. The two are not the same. And that's what the dragon was trying to get across to Mykela. Now, your antagonist in your stories often uses this concept so they can justify why what they're doing is right. And they may actually believe it too. I'm not saying they don't believe it. They know that they're conflating. They may believe this. They may have been taught this. They may have been brainwashed to believe this. So there's these two ideas that are conflated, and for them to realize that what they're doing is wrong, you may have to get somehow to break that merging of ideas apart. So, but your antagonist will use this concept, whether or not you use the word in your story. So, in our cave story, My antagonist might believe that eventually his experiments will help humankind to evolve to the next level, and the next level will be great, so the minor losses will be worth it. I'm not agreeing with Maldrake or taking his side or even saying that his line of thinking, that is his line of thinking. I haven't gotten to his point of view yet in the story. But as writers, we need to know how the antagonist pitches or sells his side as the good side. Most people don't take a side to be the bad guys, or just because, or just to be bad. They don't say, oh, I'm helping this person because I want to be evil. I mean, there might be people in the world that do that. But a lot of times people say, I believe what they're doing is right. I believe that you should not take away a witch's sacrifice. That's part of her livelihood. That's part of her magic. That kind of thing. I believe she is right. I am going to help her. Now, there's that, like I said, brainwashing or confusing or conflating the two issues that you have to get past to show somebody that the good guys are the good guys and the bad guys are the bad guys. But as authors, you have to know what those bad guys are thinking. When you create your antagonist, ask yourself why the antagonist thinks he is doing good, or how he or she justifies what they're doing. Now, how does Maldrake justify, doing all these experiments on these people? And you can go and look at different shows that have these kinds of things, like the X-Men and stuff. They were doing experiments on some of these people. Then if you watch the Gargoyles series, that was a cartoon series, they had like chemical experiments on people that changed them into different things. So why were they doing that? And as the writer, you kind of have to get down into that deep, dark, evil soul to know why they think that. Maybe they're not as evil as we perceive them to be. Remember, perception. Their perception may be that they are doing good, that they are fighting the people, they're fighting the other people, and what they're doing is right. We're helping humans to go to the next level. So that's a good thing. So you have to know that as a writer, we have to get into the mindset of each and every character in our stories. In the cave story, I haven't really gotten down into Maldrake's thoughts yet. I kind of know what he's doing, but the story in my story, I haven't progressed to get to where he is yet. So I haven't really played around with it too much. I do know that is one possibility, that he thinks that he's raising humanity up to the next level. So we'll see where it goes. I don't get there today, and we are writing on that today. Now, let's look at our next term, converge. Converge means to meet at a point. When you're talking about several people or several things, it means to come together from different directions so as to eventually meet. Converge means to tend or move toward one point or one another. To come together and unite in a common interest or focus, or to move towards the same point or join together. One can use it to describe lines, roads, or paths, or ideas and opinions. Some synonyms are meet, intersect, cross, connect, link up, coincide, join, unite, merge, or come together. Some antonyms are separate or diverge. Now, notice that the synonyms or the antonyms are the same or very similar. So some of the words are exactly the same as the previous term, conflate. But I wouldn't conflate the two terms. Conflate would be more for your antagonist justifying his side. And remember, there's the fallacy with logic. Converge would be more your protagonist coming together. Maybe you have all these different groups of people that don't normally work together, but they're coming together and forming an alliance to defeat the antagonist's tyrannical rule. So you would more use converge with your protagonist and conflate with your antagonist. Now, you're a writer. You can decide to do whatever it is that you want to do. Maybe you have a false protagonist, and maybe they conflate things, So it's up to you how you want to use these things. But these are concepts for your writing and ideas to play with to see how your antagonist and your protagonist are against each other and to help you build to that ultimate climax. Okay, now for our writing time. Remember, all writings shared on the channel are copyright protected. So, we are adding to our stories based on number 8 of the plot we put together. This is for your caves. It started off with your scary cave, right? Where we added description and emotions, and we made the mood more of a scary or fearful kind of mood at the beginning. Now, number 8 of the plot that we kind of put together, or I pulled out of what I've done so far, and number 8 is start the struggle. We've probably already done that part of it, but the next part of 8 is what hurdles does the protagonist have to leap to get to even face the antagonist. In my story, Maldrake has a fortress or compound that is hard to penetrate, and the protagonist group keeps losing people, so they need something to even up the odds. If he's in his fortress and you can't get to him, he can come out and capture people and take them in or whatever, and you just keep losing people trying to fight him or whatever. How do you fight that? So there has to be something to even up the odds. Now, today, I want you to just add a scene or two. It can be a paragraph or page or several pages, whatever your inspiration is. Then come back and I'll read what I wrote. Welcome back, writers. Now I will read what I wrote. Excuse me. Zelira was finally breathing normally again. Her meditations had helped her there. She was excited that Missant had thought back to her, and she was about to dive in the water for the next leg of the trip when she received, "Can I not exit the fortress?" Zelira thought, "I don't know. I guess that would depend on where you were in the fortress. I saw Jack's, Chip's, and Tom's bodies. I don't want Maldrake to discover me." Zelira shook her head to herself. "Is this Grant? I went in for you, but something tripped the alarm. I'm in a bit of a pickle right now, but I have help. Where in the fortress are you?" "I'm in the caves," thought Grant. "I don't know where exactly. I am Grant. I didn't expect a reply, but it's awesome. Are you Zelira? I was just thinking of all the people in the underground. You would be the one person who was open to the old ways." Zelira looked at the dolphin, and the dolphin had been very patient, but now the dolphin was swimming in closer and closer circles. Zelira looked the way she came. The gnomes seemed afraid of the water, but then she was sure the boy had jumped in. Zelira thought, "I'll try to think later. I have to move." Excuse me. Zelira stood up and dove into the water. She swam closer to the wall where she knew the next tunnel was. She took in a deep breath before she grabbed a hold of the dolphin. The dolphin immediately sped down in the water and then through the tunnel. Grant lay on the cave floor for a few more minutes. He never expected a reply, but apparently things were happening. Somewhere in the back of his mind, he realized that he had wanted to see the prisons in the caves. And then here he was. He had thought about Zalira, and then she responded to his thoughts. With those thoughts, he determined to try linking again, or astral jumping, and this time he would think of the woods. He tried to remember the maps he had seen, and he knew there were a lot of marshes around the fortress. He didn't want to end up in the marshes, so he thought somewhere up in the mountains would be better. He started his meditation and dropping from beta to alpha brainwaves. He knew things worked, but he just had to figure out how they worked. While the scouts were out, Missy decided to write down everything in her journal. She had written things, and the girls had spoken with her. It was nearing 2 hours since the scouts had left, and they returned. The scouts told about a hole. That's the wrong spelling. There. Okay. The scouts told about a hole they found. That's one of our homographs. Sorry to interrupt here. Homographs, yeah. It's homophone. It sounds the same. Spelled differently. The scouts told about a hole they found, along with footprints leading to the hole. One scout speculated that the footprints were of someone running. Missy looked up and over. She wanted to ask how there could be caves under the marshes, but the question caught in her throat. Everyone gathered in a tighter circle, and the scouts told of dropping a rope down in the hole to estimate how deep the hole was, but they could not get an estimate with their rope. The next option was to lower a person down in the hole, but they would need more rope. Commander Nyson glanced at Brambert and Missy. He decided they needed to mark the hole off by putting some string or rope around it, but they were not going down in the hole. "I'll go," said Brambert. "They can lower me down in the hole." Commander Nyson sighed. "First, you are one of the tallest and heaviest people in our group, so you should be the one to help pull the person back up." He glanced over to Missy and motioned to her. "She said fell in the hole. Our scouts have confirmed that. She said out of the first chamber. We are going to go around this marsh. I don't know Zalira's direction as she explored the cave, nor do I know the direction she swam. But if we explore the area, then when she connects with Missy again, we will hopefully understand her description of the area." Then Commander Nyson started giving commands. They were breaking down the camp and the perimeter, and they were going to break into groups of 4 or 5 people. 3 groups had 4 people, and 2 groups had 5. They had radios, but they would only turn them on in 3 hours, at 7:17, and they would speak for 7 minutes. They couldn't risk any more time. The dolphin had swum through both tunnels and had given Zalira rest in between each time. Zalira's lungs strained to breathe each time, especially right before she surfaced. The last time she surfaced, she came up in the middle of some tall reeds and felt she was in the marshes. Zalira turned full circle, but she couldn't see very far. She tried to pull herself out on the ground and wasn't gaining any traction. The dolphin flipped her up on the grassy area. Zalira just stayed laying down and resting for a few minutes. Then she rolled to her stomach and thanked the dolphin for helping her. Once again, she wished that she could speak to the dolphin to know if the gnomes could find her or what direction she should take from here. But she would have to meditate and connect with nature. The dolphin dove back in the water and swam off. Zolera rolled her back. She didn't know where she was, and she needed to contact Missing, but for now she just rested. Grant's next place, which he linked to, was very cold. There were a few trees, but there was also snow on the ground. He realized he thought high up in the mountains, so he changed his thoughts to midway in the mountains. When he formed back into his body again, he was laying on leaves and sticks, and he could see and hear animals near him moving around. He thought to himself that he could leave the fortress, and he did. Now he needed to decide where he wanted to go. He probably needed a few stitches or a wound cleaned, but where would be the best place to do that? Mandrake had soldiers or troops in most cities, so he didn't think he could find a hospital. Then he remembered Joe and Donnie. The two of them didn't want to join the resistance, so they had taken their families into a deep wilderness, and they hoped to live off the land and never have Mandrake find them. Grant thought if they still lived, then they would know how to dress a wound. Still, it would take him a while to convert his mass to all energy once again. Missing was with Brambert's and Commander Nison's group, and their group only had 4 people. Missing thought she saw something, so she reached out for Brambert, and the whole group stopped. Then they saw 2 children, so they relaxed at first. "We're lost," said the boy. "Are you lost too?" asked the girl. "No," replied Missing. "We're scouting the marshes for the best fishing holes. What are your names? We probably know your parents." At that, the boy became visibly angry, but the girl pulled on his sleeve, and he calmed instantly. The girl said, "Our parents took us out in these woods and left us." Missing noted that they didn't give their names. Commander Nison realized what Missing was thinking, but he decided to continue their ruse. "Do you know where the best fishing spots are in these marshes?" The boy and girl nodded, and then led them back towards the hole. Since the scouts had done a good job of roping off the area, all in the group knew what was up. When the boy and girl saw the rope, they blinked out of sight. The people wouldn't get close enough for them to push them in. When the children vanished, the whole group passed around glances, and then they headed back to where they had met the children. Okay, writers, that is all for today. I added 1,369 words to the story, which is not enough for the NaNoWriMo challenge that we finished a few months back, but it is more than the normal goal of 500 words a day that a lot of writers have. So leave a comment on how many words you added to your cave today, and leave a comment on your total word count so far. My total is 12,026 words. Now, writing like this can break up the flow of a story. Like, write this, write that. 4 weeks later, write this, write that. So eventually, I need to go back and reread everything to make sure it flows and the timeline works and nothing is left out. Of course, we have Microsoft Office or Word, and we could just put our cursor anywhere or type in that spot and move our cursor and type in that spot. So adding things that are missing isn't very hard like they used to have. So you, the same thing. Every once in a while, you need to go back and read your story. In between our writing days and stuff, you need to go back and read your story from the beginning and down. And maybe you find that, oh, this scene should happen before that scene or after that scene. So just highlight it, and then Control X will cut it. And then you go put your cursor wherever you need, and Control V, that will paste it. So I think of the V like the top of the glue bottle. You know, you have that glue bottle and it looks like a V, so you just paste it down. That's how because Control P would be print. So you have to figure out how to think of the V. So Control X that's your scissors cutting things, and Control V is to paste. So you just move that scene, and then after you do that, if that's what you decide to do, go back a little bit, and so like go back to the scene before wherever you pasted it, and then read again to see how your flow goes. That's the best way to do it, because every once in a while you're gonna need to go back and see, what have I done, what haven't I done. A lot of times I have an Excel sheet on the side going as well, and in that Excel sheet, of course, I have my character names on one sheet is like characters, and then sometimes on another sheet I'll have an events list. And I haven't actually done that yet with this story, but for my events list, I'll just start listing things down that I want to happen. It may not be like outline format to where it's in the correct order, but it'll be like, I need this and this and this and this to happen. And then as I do those things, I can delete them off of that events list and then add whatever else. That helps me to say, especially when it's broken up like this, what was I thinking? Where did I want this to go? What should happen next? And so I can go from there and do what's next. But that reading through is going to be an important thing for us, especially with only writing on this every 4 weeks. And now we have the scene with the setting going, and the story with the downed soldier going, and you have your shared plot. So you have all these things. I don't know if you're writing on all of these things or not, but you may be writing on one story, and then all of a sudden you may be like, I think I thought that scene for this other story. And of course you can open both documents and copy and paste or whatever. So it's not a bad thing. It's a very easy fix, but just every once in a while, go through and read your writing from the top to the bottom. You will find mistakes. Like I found WHOLE for the whole, and that kind of whole is like the whole big, the whole world or whatever. And I needed HOLE. It's an easy fix. It's an easy fix. But sometimes when you're typing, your fingers just do things. So read it from the top to the bottom and see what's going on with your stories. Make sure everything flows and the timeline works and nothing is left out. Also make sure whatever setting that you have or time period that you have, you stay consistent with that time period, and you don't all of a sudden add a dinosaur when you're in, today's time or something. You could, but you'd have to make sure that you have things for the time period that are appropriate, and just edit it. That's what you're going to do in between days. We probably won't be editing together because I don't see me rereading this on the channel. But it's just fun stuff. Just sit back and relax in your chair and read your story and laugh with the good parts and cry with the sad parts and just enjoy your creation. So, also leave comments on what questions you would ask about about my cave story, what I've done so far. Ask me questions. That will help you ask questions for your writings. Also, reading again will help you ask questions for your writings, and then you can create an event list. Send your cave stories to WritewithMykela@gmail.com with written permission, and I will read your story on the channel as well, and that will help you to hear it, and you will, oh, I can't believe, nobody's going to notice that but you. But anyway, when you hear somebody else read your story, a lot of times when I hear somebody read my story, I'm like, wait, what? What did you say? Did I do that? So it's another way to edit. And I will state again that whatever I read on the channel is copyright protected. So there's no worries for you. My video will be proof for you that it was your work. Because I will give you credit. I will say, so-and-so sent this to me. Or this is their pen name. If you have a pen name and not your real name. And, of course, it'll be in my email and stuff. So it'll all be recorded record that you wrote it, that it's your story. So there's no worries if somebody else steals your stuff and tries to get away. You would have proof at that point that it was yours. Not that we're expecting people to do that, but just trying to ease you into this and help you not to worry about that. If you created it the first time, then you could create something else. Somebody else tries to take it, guess what? That's all they have. They have no idea how to finish it. They have no idea, because they're copying, right? So don't worry about those things. Send your writings in. Let everyone on the channel enjoy your writings as they've enjoyed my writings and as you have enjoyed my writings. And I will enjoy reading everything. So that's the fun stuff. And just join me Friday for Eleni's Pride, Breaking Point, Chapter 18. Join me Tuesday for us to add to the story that started with a setting and maybe some more jargon. Sometimes I don't know about the jargon. All of a sudden I just get an idea in the middle of the week before I write the scripts. I'm just like, oh, you should do this. And the conflate, I actually had some other word in my head. And I was like, when I looked it up, I was like, that's not the word I want. What is the word? And I found the word. So that's how that one came up. It just was just this word in my head. So that's how I get the ideas. And you're welcome to put ideas down. If you have a term you want me to describe or whatever, then I can do those as well. In between days, don't forget to visit my website, bymykela.com, and read some character bios. That's where a lot of my Mykela characters are. For the book one, I've done those characters, and I've done some of the characters for operatives and some of the characters for City of the Ancients. If you hit like and subscribe and the bell notification, then we will continue to write together. Also, when you do those things, that will help push the channel out there so we can build our community of writers and have more writers join us. Thank you for joining me today. I really appreciate your participation. If you know someone who would like this video, then please share it with them. This is Mykela with Write with Mykela. Bye for now.